Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk Halloween edition. Nameco and Dustin sorta here. Before we get into talking about all the good stuff, Dustin, hit him with a quick tip.
At this point in the season, everything you do, you need to look at playoff schedules. If you're thinking about doing a trade, if you're thinking about picking up a guy that could have long-term value for your team, you gotta think playoff schedules. You know, there's a lot of teams out there, the Patriots, Arizona, they have some really tough playoff schedules. So, if you're thinking about trading for those type of guys, you need to keep that in mind. Guys like Wes Welker, Larry Fitz, Tom Brady, some of those guys are somewhat matchup proof, but you need to look at those matchups week 14 through 16 when making all those type of decisions, especially this time of year. All right. Do you have anything to add there, Mr. Skeleton?
Nah, just give me some of them form questions.
First one comes from N.K. Walker. Quarterback question. We got Josh Freeman at Oakland. Jay Cutler at Tennessee. 78% are going Mr. Freeman right now.
Yeah, Tennessee's been pretty terrible, but Oakland's secondary isn't much better. And the way Freeman's been playing as of late, he's had, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception in the last 3 games. He's been playing great. He was the guy we thought he was going to be last year. This year, I say go ahead and go with Freeman. All right, Dustin, next question comes from Wiley. He wants to know he's got a flex. He's got Maclin at the Saints, or he's got CJ2K versus the Bears. 100% of the community is saying you got to go with Maclin here.
Oh, Chris Johnson, what to do with you? It's tough this week against the Bears. I'm not really expecting huge things from him, so... I think that the Eagles-Saints game, definitely some shootout potential there. Definitely some potential then playing from behind. I think you stick with the community and go with Maclin on this one. I think he has a decent game. All right, our next one comes from Kayla Gu01. This is a tough one. I actually answered this one in the forums. The person that's already in their lineup is Reggie Wayne. Decent matchup this week, and it's a PPR league. But the other wide receiver spot, A.J. Green versus Denver or Roddy White versus Dallas. It's a 50-50 split right now.
Yeah, it's tough. But out of the two, I got to go with A.J. Green. I just love his upside a lot more. Roddy and Julio seems to be taking 1 week on, 1 week off, and this week it should be Roddy's turn. But, who knows if it's actually going to be that way. You can't bank on that. Go with A.J. Green, the most talented wide receiver in the NFL. That's right, Megatron. A.J. Green. The youth is here.
Well, I'm a skeleton.
It is time for the bet of the week. And we couldn't think of a scarier guy to talk about than CJ2K. So this week he's facing the Bears. Obviously that's terrifying. And the fact he hasn't been that well. The over-under line is set at 11. Yours truly is going to be taking the under. Here's why. I know he did well against Houston, but the Bears are a solid defense. I don't think you can't really trust him against anybody, let alone the Chicago Bears, who are playing unbelievable. I don't see him getting in the end zone, and I don't see him getting many yards. A lot of negative rushes this week for CJ2K.
I'm obviously terrified of this bet, but I couldn't pass it up. 11 points. He still does have the breakout potential. It's a .75 PPR league. So, I'm anticipating him getting, 3 to 5 catches, and all he needs is one big one, and I'll be there. It is a little scary. I don't think he'll find the end zone either, but I'm hoping for 13 to 15 points. I think he can get there. All right, let's get into our sleepers and busts. Both of mine are in the Washington-Carolina game. My sleeper, I'm going with Jonathan Stewart. They're finally starting to get him involved in the passing game more. They did that a lot last year, and that's where all of his value was. And they're finally doing it now. In Washington, they can't stop anything through the air. So I think Jonathan Stewart, probably catches 4 to 6 balls. I think he has probably over 50 yards receiving. And anything he does on top of that with rushing is just going to be a bonus. And he might even find the end zone. I like Jonathan Stewart this week. My bust, Santana Moss. He keeps getting touchdowns. You can't count on those every week. His targets, he hasn't had a ton of targets. He hasn't had a ton of catches. It could be potentially somewhat of a shootout type game, but I think this little spurt that Santana Moss has had lately comes to an end this week.
All right, my bust is going to be Torrey Smith. And I know he's kind of a roller coaster player as is, but this week he's matched up against Joe Hayden. If anybody watched the shows last year, I love Joe Hayden. He's the best corner Arguably in the NFL, I know Revis is a beast, but he's arguably the best healthy corner right now in the NFL, and Cleveland's defense has looked a lot better since he's come back, so I don't really trust their season numbers. And then my sleeper, it's going to be my boy, Greg Olsen. Again, we're going to be watching that Skins-Carolina game. Love Greg Olsen this week. The Skins are ranked dead last versus the pass. Greg Olsen's a great route runner, good pass catcher, certainly a top 12 tight end by the end of the year. I don't even know why we made that bet. It's a lock, we're going to win.
Love Greg Olsen.
It's going to do good this week.
All right, let's move into Mike's picks. His sleeper, Darius Hayward-Bay, going up against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay gives a decent amount of yards through the air. They have the third most points to receivers in fantasy land. And Denarius Moore is going to demand a lot of attention. Palmer's been playing pretty well lately. That Oakland offense has actually looked pretty decent through the air. So Hayward-Bay should have another decent game. And his bust is Fred Jackson going up against Houston. Surprising stat for you, Houston has still not allowed a rushing touchdown. Pretty crazy when you put on top of that he is still splitting carries with CJ Spiller, heavy timeshare out there. Not a good matchup. Not much going good for Fred Jackson this week. So that's our Halloween episode. That wasn't scary at all. Ooh, I'm a skeleton.
Me too. I'm one.
Got any questions? Post them in the forums.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Look at it. Skeleton.
I look pretty good as a skeleton.